Are you stuck in a repeated cycle of self-sabotaging behavior that makes you feel awful and shameful? Do you constantly mess up the good things that are happening in your life, including and especially your romantic relationships? Do you feel like you can't really let yourself be happy or at peace because you already know it's just going to blow up in your face? I'm Lise Leblanc, and as I work with clients from all around the world, I see a lot of people sabotaging their lives and their relationships. So today I'm talking about the root cause and 7 reasons for self-sabotage. And at the end of this video, I will give you 3 key ways to overcome self-sabotaging patterns. Okay, so let's start with a few examples of how you may be sabotaging your romantic relationships. Let's say you want nothing more than to experience love and intimacy. But when you get into a great relationship, find a great partner, suddenly you become avoidant and you start pulling away. Or maybe you behave in ways that you know are wrong and would destroy your relationship if your partner found out. Or maybe you seek partners who have major red flags and you put up with abusive behavior. Maybe you intentionally set up situations to test your partner's commitment. Maybe you pick fights or create drama. So never mind trusting someone else, you can't even trust yourself because it's like you have a hidden enemy living inside of you trying to destroy anything or anyone good that comes into your life. You just can't allow yourself to have what you want because deep down, you believe that you don't deserve it. So you take it away from yourself before anyone finds out the truth about you and takes it away. Because of this, you repeatedly sabotage yourself, making you feel even more worthless and broken. It's as though your authentic self is buried under a thick wall of self-hatred and soul-sucking shame that leads you further and further into this self-destructive cycle. So what do? You probably self-medicate, distract yourself, maybe even create a new persona. You do all kinds of things that end up reinforcing the shame that's at the root of self-sabotaging behavior. It's a vicious cycle. So you feel the shame, then you do things to temporarily get relief from the shame, but that actually make you feel more shameful in the long run, strengthening the feelings of shame that you're trying to escape in the first place. So this feeds the shame monster and nurtures it. And then again, you feel this intense shame and on it goes. This shame monster is always lurking under the surface, whispering negative narratives that profoundly affect your self-perception, your emotional state, and your behavior. For some people, the voice of shame is relentlessly nagging at them. For others, it just pops up here and there and it's more like a game of whack-a-mole. But either way, when it does show up, here are things it is likely going to say to you. And please excuse my language, but the voice of shame isn't that polite or professional. And keep in mind that you may not hear all of these things all of the time. These are just examples. Number 1, you're not good enough. Look at them. They're so much better than you, you fucking loser. Number 2, you look like shit. You're unattractive, undesirable, so gross, I can't even stand the sight of you. Number 3, you're insignificant. You don't matter. Nobody likes you. You don't belong. You're an outsider and you're never going to fit in. People only pretend to like you because you're serving them, pleasing them, meeting their needs. Number 4, you ruin everything. Why do you even bother trying? You're hopeless. Why don't you just give up now? Number 5, this good thing you've got going on, it's not going to last. It's going to be taken away from you because you don't deserve it. Number 6, people will eventually leave you when they find out who you really are because you're bad, broken, and unworthy of love. Number 7, every mistake you make defines you and it overshadows any positive qualities you have. The voice of shame reminds you of everything you've ever done wrong, all the bad choices you've ever made, all the bad things you've ever said, highlighting all of your mistakes and flaws. Number 8, you're incompetent, you're a fraud, and it's just a matter of time until everyone finds out. Number 9, your needs and desires are selfish. You shouldn't burden others with what you want or what you're thinking and feeling and needing. You're just a big pain in the ass, and you know it. Everyone would be better off without you. Number 10, you are weak and powerless. You will never achieve anything. Why do you even bother setting goals? You're just going to give up, so stop pretending. You're a failure, just accept it. The voice of shame says many other things, so feel free to add to the list in the comment section below. Obviously, if the voice of shame is a strong presence in your life, anxiety and self-loathing will be the backdrop of your personal reality. Every moment and experience is plagued by self-deprecating thoughts, always beating yourself up and waiting for the other shoe to drop. Always waiting and expecting the nightmare that's playing out in your mind to start replaying in your reality. It's like in a horror movie where the creepy music starts playing and you know something scary and bad is about to happen. And this might lead you to behaving in self-sabotaging ways just to get it over with, because at least then there's some predictability and sense of control. And maybe you try to rationalize or justify your self-sabotaging behavior. Maybe you play the victim. But as time goes on and the pattern continues to play out in your life, you may start to realize that you are the common denominator. You may also start to recognize that the more you try to suppress, disconnect, and distract yourself from shameful thoughts and feelings, the more powerful and unpredictable the shame monster gets. You're no longer in control. And again, the pressure and darkness grows inside of you, unleashing a destructive force, re-traumatizing you and potentially harming everyone in its path. Now, you may be wondering where all this shame is coming from. The answer to this question is complex, and it relates back to childhood. The truth is, your shame monster was probably born not long after you were, when you were just a little boy or a little girl, going all the way back to your early life experiences. Now, let me say that we all have experiences of neglect, harsh words, rejection, abandonment, invalidation, maybe even abuse. But those who had these types of experiences consistently in their family, with their peers, or in other important relationships and contexts, end up believing that the core of who they are is wrong, bad, insignificant, worthless, defective, and that their authentic self needs to be hidden, leading to intense and pervasive feelings of shame. Shame is feeling bad about who you are, whereas guilt is feeling bad about something you did. Now, you may be aware of your self-sabotaging patterns. Maybe you know exactly what, why, and how you are sabotaging your life and your relationships. Or maybe you don't know. Maybe you're completely unaware of why you do what you do. So let's talk about 7 reasons why we self-sabotage. First, often self-sabotage is driven by the immediate need for relief from overwhelming psychological distress. It's a coping mechanism to escape or numb from the intense negative emotions that you're feeling. Number 2, it gives you a sense of predictability, familiarity, and control, like I talked about before. So it can create a distorted sense of control in your life. When you're orchestrating your own problems, you may feel that they're more predictable and that you have some control over the chaos and the challenges that you're facing. Human beings are creatures of habit, and self-sabotage can become a familiar pattern that keeps you in your comfort zone, giving you a false sense of security. And this is especially true for those who grow up in a chaotic, conflict-oriented environment. Number 3 is self-punishment. Self-sabotage may be used as a means of punishing yourself because you feel you should be punished for even wanting or trying to be happy and successful. This self-punishment validates your negative self-perceptions and pre-existing beliefs that you're bad and deserve punishment. Number 4 is the fear of rejection or abandonment. Self-sabotage can be a defense mechanism against the perceived or real threat of rejection or abandonment, and ultimately helps you avoid the possibility of being abandoned or hurt by others. Number 5 is comfort in being a victim. And some people get a perverse sense of security in being the victim. It allows them to maintain this identity and avoid the challenges that come with personal responsibility and personal empowerment. Number 6 is perfectionism. Perfectionists may self-sabotage to avoid the anxiety associated with potential failure. The fear of not meeting impossibly high standards can lead to procrastination or deliberate actions that hinder success. Number 10, which in my opinion is the biggest reason, is unintegrated trauma. Past trauma can cause us to self-sabotage as a subconscious attempt to recreate familiar, harmful situations and relationships as a way of resolving the trauma associated to the original experience. Of course, this doesn't work, and yet we can go on and on for a whole lifetime repeating the same patterns without realizing how ineffective they are at achieving our desired outcomes. So instead of confronting and integrating your trauma that created this soul-sucking shame monster, you may continue the self-sabotaging cycle, perhaps even thinking that you have nothing to do with it, that it's just some random and perpetual cycle of bad luck. And so even if you want a good, healthy relationship, and even if you have good values and have an amazing vision for your life, with a vision board and all, sadly, your shame monster will always be there telling you that you don't deserve any of it, asking you, who do you think you are anyway? You think you're going to be able to pull this off? You think you'll be able to keep any of this? The good life is for good people, not people like you. And on it goes, leading you further and further into the destructive loop. If this is you, I strongly recommend that you reach out to a therapist in your area who can help you sort it out. If you've experienced a lot of trauma, I recommend EMDR or brain spotting. If you have serious problems regulating your emotions, consider DBT. Just do something. Otherwise, your future will play out in similar ways as your past. Okay, so here are 3 tips to help you deal with the shame that is at the root of self-sabotaging patterns. First, when you start working on changing your self-sabotaging behavior, practice extreme self-compassion. You are going to mess up, and when you do, the shame monster will be right there, waiting for a treat, waiting for you to feed it. But you need to do your best to let it starve, and the best way to do that is to be gentle and patient with yourself. Second, separate yourself from the voice of shame. When you become aware of its presence, stop what you're doing and place your attention on where you feel the shame most intensely in your body. Rate the intensity of it and just observe it without judgment. Don't fight with it. Don't negotiate. Don't try to make it go away. Just keep your focus on it. Watch it, follow it, stalk it. And maybe, just maybe, once you confront it, you'll realize it's not as big and scary as you once thought it was. Third, write in your journal about what the voice of shame is telling you. Pretend that this shame monster is a separate entity from you and write down its thoughts as though they are not your own. For example, write down, shame is saying I'm not good enough. It's saying that because, blah, blah, blah. And then challenge these harmful narratives in the most gentle way possible and question their validity. Think about alternative, positive perspectives. One way to remind yourself to be gentle is to take out a photo of yourself when you were just a child, around the age when you remember first being shamed and given the message that you should be ashamed of yourself. And when the shame monster rears its ugly head, look at the photo and ask yourself whether this small version of yourself deserved to be spoken to and treated this way. Ask yourself what they did deserve to hear. The idea is to eventually make peace with this so-called shame monster, which in truth is just a shadow aspect of yourself who is forced into hiding because of past hurts, rejections, trauma, and abuse. And again, a good therapist, a strong support network, and lots of self-care will help tremendously. If this video was helpful, please check out my toxic relationship recovery program, which I linked in the description section below. Take a moment to share, comment, subscribe. This helps me out personally by helping my channel, and it helps get my content out to others like you who can be helped by it. Thank you so much for watching.